All right, good afternoon, radio fans. Big Al here on this Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, as we're continuing our look at radio ratings from select markets from across the country. And today we'll be taking a look at the radio ratings for Tampa-St. Petersburg, Florida, Denver and Boulder, Colorado, and San Diego, California. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. And once again, if you missed it yesterday, I made a little announcement on how these radio ratings will be presented. Starting with the seats. And I said the September numbers, what I really meant when the August numbers drop in a few weeks. We will be taking a look at 4 markets per video instead of just 3. That way I get more info out there to you. Alright, so with that being said, let's dive in to the number 16 market in the country, Tampa-St. Petersburg, Florida. And we'll start with the dueling 2 stations at the top, 105.5 The Dove, and the Joy FM 91.5, which has been trading the Tampa Bay lead for the last couple of months, and they do so again in July. As Cox Media Group's 105.5 The Dove, WDUV, is up from 7.3 to 7.8 to retake the number 1 spot, and a cumulative audience of 607,900. That's followed by Radio Training Network's The Joy FM 91.5 WCIE, which actually slipped this month from 7.5 down to 7.4 with a cumulative audience of 268,100. Let me push this back a little. Oh, stay up there, please. There we go. All right, third place is iHeart Country Station US 103.5 WFUS, which is up a point from 4.3 to 5.3. Cumulative audience of 366,800. They actually tied for third place with Cox Media Group's classic rock station 107.3 The Eagle WXGL, which is down from 5.7 to 5.3 with a cumulative audience of 458,900. Forgive me, guys. I'm trying to get this where it. There we go. That will work. Coming in 5th place is Beasley Broadcast Group Country Station 99.5 WQYK, which also fell from 5.6 to 5.0, cumulative audience of 334,400. That ties them for 5th place with Cox Media Group's Hot Adult Contemporary Station Magic 94.9, which is WWRM. They're up from 4.5 to 5.0 with a cumulative audience of 525,700. So those 2 stations are tied for 5th place. Coming in at number 7 is iHeartRadio's adult contemporary station Mix 100.7 WMTX, inching up from 4.8 to 4.9, cumulative audience of 530,200. So they are flirting with that 5 share right now. They are tied with its sister active rock station and Tampa Bay Buccaneers flagship 98 Rock WXTB, which trades spots with Mix 100.7, moving down from 4.9 to 4.8, and a cumulative audience of 331,800. So this puts 98 Rock in 8th place. Coming in 9th is Beasley Broadcast Group's classic hits station Q105 WRBQ. They took a drop again from 4.4 to 3.8 and a cumulative audience of 335,400. So that's good for 9th place. And then iHeartRadio's top 40 station 93.3 WFLZ rounds out the top 10, moving down from 3.8 to 3.6. with a cumulative audience of 370,000. In 11th place is Cox Media Group's Hot Talk station 102.5 The Bone WHPT. This is the Tampa Bay Lightning flagship. They are down from 3.8 to 3.3 with a cumulative audience of 123,700. Coming in at number 12 is University of South Florida's NPR news station, WUSF News 89.7, up from 3.0 to 3.3, with a cumulative audience of 154,400. And then we have a tie for 13th place with a couple of urban stations. Beasley Broadcast Group's hip-hop station Wild 94.1 WLLD, and Cox Media Group's urban adult contemporary station 101.5 The Vibe WTBV are both tied at a 3.0, as Wild 94.1 dropped from 3.2 to 3.0 and a cumulative audience of 243,500, while The Vibe is up from 2.9 to 3.0 and a cumulative audience of 264,600. So those two stations are tied for 13th. In 15th place is iHeartRadio's news and talk station, News Radio 970 WFLA, up from 2.7 to 2.9, with a cumulative audience of 153,700. Next is Beasley Broadcast Group's Spanish contemporary station, 92.5 Maxima. That's WYUU-FM. Down from 2.9 to 2.2, so a bit of a decline there. Cumulative audience of 172,300. So that is 16th place for 92.5 Maxima. 17th place is Beasley Broadcast Group Classic Rocker 98.7 The Shark, WPBB. They're down from 2.5 to 2.1 and a cumulative audience of 230,900. Now, Beasley is in the process of selling this station to EMF, which would bring the K-Love format to the Tampa Bay area. Next up is iHeartRadio's Spanish tropical station, Rumba 95.7 WRUB, taking a big decline, dropping from 3.2 to 2.0 and a cumulative audience of 154,900. Its sister sports station, 95.3 WDAE, which is technically heard on 620 WDAE, and an FM translator in Pinellas Park on 95.3, holds steady at a 1.9, and a cumulative audience of 104,400. This is the Tampa Bay Rays flagship station. Nathan B. Stubblefield Foundation's WMNF 88.5 is up from 1.7 to 1.9, tying them with WDAE. WMNF has a cumulative audience of 83,400. Next up is a tie between the two Q broadcasting stations in Tampa Bay. Its regional Mexican station, La Ley 107.7 and 1550, which is WAMA AM, is up from 1.0 to 1.4 with a cumulative audience of 83,900. And its sister Spanish CHR station, La Mega Tampa Bay, which is WTIS 1110 AM. That's a daytime signal, but their programming is relayed 24 hours a day on a Tampa translator at 101.1. They're also up from 1.1 to 1.4 and a cumulative audience of 97,600. Next is Spanish Broadcasting System's El Zol 97.1 WSUN, which plays Spanish tropical music. They're down from 1.5 to 1.3 with a cumulative audience of 134,100. And they are tied with another Spanish tropical station, Beasley Broadcast Group's Playa 106.9, heard on WYUU HD2. They're up from 0.5 to 1.3 with a cumulative audience of 48,100. iHeartRadio's classic hip-hop station, 106.5 and 102.9 The Beat, which is WBTP 106.5, with a Tampa translator at 102.9. They're up from 0.8 to 1.0, with a cumulative audience of 93,900. Then you have Spirit FM 90.5 WBVM from the Archdiocese of St. Petersburg, playing a contemporary Christian format. They're down from 1.3 to 1.0, actually tying with The Beat. And they have a cumulative audience of 86,300. Next is Moody Radio, Florida, heard on Lakeland's WKES-FM from the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago. They're steady at a 0.5 and a cumulative audience of 22,000. Radio Training Network occupies the next 3 spots. The Joy FM 88.1 WJIS is up from 0.3 to 0.4 with a cumulative audience of 18,300. That's followed by the Christian AC formats of both Light Force Radio on WCIE HD3 and the Joy FM Praise 91.5 on WCIE HD2. The HD3 signal is steady at a 0.2 and a cumulative audience of 14,600, while the HD2 signal is down from 0.2 to 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 14,700. Next is iHeartRadio's business news station, Impact Radio 1250 WHNZ, holding steady at a 0.1. Cumulative audience of 25,500. Next is the online stream of Moody Radio, Florida, at a 0.1 and holding steady with a cumulative audience of 9,100. The Source, which is a news talk station on WMNF HD3, is down from 0.1 to 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 8,600. Its online stream is also at a 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 1,900. University of South Florida's classical station, Classical WSMR 89.1, is also down from 0.2 to 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 17,300. Hey, Anna, what's up? How you doing? That's then followed by Cox Media Group's alternative station 97X, now heard on WTBV HD2. They're also down from 0.2 to 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 20,900. That's followed by the online stream of 101.5 The Vibe, which is also down from 0.2 to 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 4,800. And then Classical WSMR 89.1, which is also heard in Tampa on WUSF HD2, is steady at a 0.1 with a cumulative Tampa Bay audience of 6,700. Next is the online stream of Cox Media Group's Magic 94.9 at a 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 13,000. And then the online stream of Spanish Broadcasting System's El Zol 97.1 did not register. So that's the Tampa Bay market. Moving on to market number 18, the Denver-Boulder radio market. And sitting at the top again is Bonneville's adult contemporary station, Cozy 101.1 KOSI, which is down a little from 7.7 to 7.5 with a cumulative audience of 551,800. Its sister country station, 98.5 KYGO, comes in second, rising from 5.9 to 6.2 with a cumulative audience of 308,500. In third place is Odyssey's Hot Adult Contemporary station, Alice 1059 KALC, up from 5.2 to 5.6, with a cumulative audience of 303,900, and they are actually tied with two other stations for third place, including Odyssey's sister classic rock station, 99.5 The Mountain KQMT, which is up from 4.4 to 5.6, and a cumulative audience of 423,400, as well as Stan Kroenke's classic hits station, Cool 105 KXKL, up from a 5.3 to a 5.6, and a cumulative audience of 438,800. So again, all three of those stations are tied for third in the Denver-Boulder market. Sixth place is iHeartRadio's classic rock station, 103.5 The Fox KRFX, which is the FM home of the Denver Broncos. They're up from 4.2 to 5.1 with a cumulative audience of 382,000, just ahead of its sister alternative rocker, Channel 93.3 KTCL, which is down from 5.4 to 5.0. So they fell from third to seventh as a result. Cumulative audience of 338,900. In eighth place is Odyssey's hip-hop station, KS 1075 KQKS, down from 4.9 to 4.5 with a cumulative audience of 332,600. In ninth place is iHeartRadio's adult album alternative station, 97.3 KBCO, which they call themselves World Class Rock. They are up from 4.1 to 4.4 and a cumulative audience of 348,800, tying for ninth place with Intravision's La Tricolore 96.5 KXPK, up from 3.5 to 4.4, and 171,800 in cumulative audience for La Tricolore, the highest rated Spanish language station in Denver. So those two stations are tied for ninth. Outside the top 10, you have iHeartRadio's top 40 station, Hits 95.7 KDHT, up from 3.7 to 4.0. Cumulative audience of 300,800. So they will take 11th place. In a tie for 12th, you have Public Broadcasting of Colorado's NPR news station, CPR News 90.1, which is CF or KCFR FM, and iHeart Country Station 106.7 The Bull, KWBL. Both are sitting at a 3.6 for July. CPR News 90.1 is steady at a 3.6 with a cumulative audience of 156,100, while 106.7 The Bull is up from 3.0 to 3.6 and a cumulative audience of 189,800. Next is Bonneville Sports Station, Denver Sports 104.3 KKFN. They're up from 2.4 to 3.1 with a cumulative audience of 81,700. Next is another one of Stan Kroenke's radio properties. It's Hot AC Station Mix 100, KIMN. They're down from 3.0 to 2.9 with a cumulative audience of 306,000. They are tied with Intravision's Spanish adult hit station, La Suavecita 92.1 KJMN. They're also down from 3.0 to 2.9 with a cumulative audience of 126,900. Next is iHeartRadio's News and Talk station, KOA News Radio 850 AM and 94.1 FM, up from 2.0 to 2.6, with a cumulative audience of 162,000. This is the flagship station of the Colorado Rockies and the co-flagship station for Denver Broncos football. Hopefully I won't have to adjust this again. Better yet, let me take that out. There we go. Now we got it where I want it. Sorry about that angle, guys. Alright, up next, Public Broadcasting of Colorado's adult album alternative station, Indie 102.3 KVOQ. They're up from 1.9 to 2.3 and a cumulative audience of 107,100. Its sister classical station, CPR Classical 88.1 KVOD, is steady at a 2.0 and a cumulative audience of 100,700. Next is iHeartRadio's conservative talker Freedom 93.7, which is heard on KDFD 760 and an FM translator in Denver at 93.7. They're down from 1.6 to 1.3, cumulative audience of 60,900. This ties them with Stan Kroenke's Altitude Sports 92.5 KKSE FM, as well as Rocky Mountain Public Media Jazz Station Cuvo Jazz 89.3 KUVO, all registering at a 1.3. Freedom 93.7 took a drop from 1.6 to 1.3 with a cumulative audience of 60,900. Altitude Sports is also down from 1.8 to 1.3, cumulative audience of 56,200. This is the flagship station of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. And then KUVO, the jazz station, is also down from 1.8 to 1.3, with a cumulative audience of 92,600. iHeartRadio Talk Station, Talk Radio 630, KHOW, is up from 1.0 to 1.2 with a cumulative audience of 27,800. Its sister rock station, 107.9 KBPI FM, is up from 1.0 to 1.1 with a cumulative audience of 134,900. Next is another adult album alternative station, KJAC 105.5, The Colorado Sound, from Community Radio for Northern Colorado. They're down from 1.3 to 1.0 with a cumulative audience of 67,400. Next is Cencom Media's regional Mexican station, La Invasora 87.7, heard on KXDP, up from 0.7 to 0.9 with a cumulative audience of 60,500. Odyssey Classic Country Station, Front Range Country 103.1, heard on KQKS-HD2 and a Denver translator at 103.1, is down from 1.0 to 0.8. Cumulative audience of 69,800. Then you have Rocky Mountain Public Media's non-commercial hip-hop and R&B station, 89.3 The Drop, heard on KUVO HD2. They're up from 0.7 to 0.8 with a cumulative audience of 54,600. Community Radio for Northern Colorado's KUNC 91.5, which is a news and talk station, is steady at 0.7 with a cumulative audience of 42,900. Then you have the classic country format of KYGO HD2, up from 0.2 to 0.3 with a cumulative audience of 19,600. Followed by the online stream of 99.5 The Mountain, up from 0.1 to 0.2, cumulative audience of 4,000. And then Stan Kroenke's AM sports station, Altitude Sports 950 KKSE AM, holds steady at 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 2,200. The online stream of KS1075 is next at a 0.1. Cumulative audience of 3,100. Denver Sports 1600 KEPN, which runs the entire ESPN schedule, did not register. They have a cumulative audience of 500. Also not registering is K-Love, heard on 91.1 KLDV, which had a 4.0 in June and a 4.3 in May. They did not register in July. They have a cumulative audience of 0 for some strange reason. Intravision's regional Mexican station, Jose 1090, KMXA, also didn't register in July, nor did the comedy format of KQMT HD2, known as Comedy 99.5 HD2. They had a cumulative audience of 2,000. The punk and alternative rock format of Punk Tacos from iHeartRadio's KTCL HD2 also didn't register. They had a cumulative audience of 9,500. And the online stream of Indie 102.3 also didn't register. They had a cumulative audience of 2,600. Moving on to our final market in this video, and that is number 19, the San Diego market. And at the top, once again, is Odyssey Classic Hits Station, Sunny 98.1 KXSN. And they took a bit of a tumble this month, down from 10.0 to 8.6, but still enough for the market lead. Cumulative audience of 676,800. In second place is Local Media San Diego's Rhythmic AC station, Magic 92.5 XHRM. The station is licensed in Mexico but broadcasts from San Diego. They hold steady at a 6.8 with a cumulative audience of 491,300. Odyssey Adult Contemporary Station KYXY 96.5 is up from 5.8 to 6.6 to take third place. Cumulative audience of 534,700. Coming in at number 4 is San Diego State University's NPR News Station KPBS 89.5. Down from 6.1 to 5.8 with a cumulative audience of 220,300. That's followed by iHeartRadio's news and talk station, News Radio 600 KOGO, coming in 5th, up from 4.4 to 4.9 and a cumulative audience of 156,000. Odyssey Sports Station 97.3 The Fan, KWFN, which is the San Diego Padres flagship, is actually down this month from 5.5 to 4.5. Cumulative audience of 190,000. That's followed by iHeartRadio's Hot Adult Contemporary station, Star 94.1 KMYI. They're up from 3.9 to 4.3 and a cumulative audience of 462,100. This will tie them with Odyssey Country Station 103.7 KSON, down from 4.6 to 4.3 with a cumulative audience of 248,500. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. KMYI and KSON are both tied for 7th place. Bryce is in the house. What's up? I did get the college football polls up, so you can definitely watch those whenever. That was the first video I did today. Up next is Local Media San Diego's classic alternative rocker 91X, which is XTRA. They're up from 3.6 to 4.1, taking 9th place. Cumulative audience of 360,600. Rounding out the top 10 is iHeartMedia's classic rock station 1015 KGB FM, holding steady at a 4.0. Cumulative audience of 349,900. Just missing the top 10 is its sister active rock station, Rock 105.3 KIOZ, up from 3.5 to 3.6 with a cumulative audience of 272,700. Grupo Imagine Spanish contemporary station Radio Latina 104.5, which is XLTN, is steady at a 2.9. Cumulative audience of 167,100. That's followed by another Spanish station, Televisa Univision's regional Mexican station, Que Buena 106.5 KLNV, up from 2.6 to 2.8. Cumulative audience of 166,000. Next up, local media San Diego's top 40 station, Z90.3 XHTZ, down from 2.9 to 2.7, with a cumulative audience of 286,700. That's followed by Odyssey alternative rock station Alt 94.9 KBZT. They're down from 2.9 to 2.6 with a cumulative audience of 305,000, tying them with iHeartRadio's top 40 station, Channel 93.3 KHTS, which is also down from 2.7 to 2.6, and a cumulative audience of 366,900. Next is Televisa Univision's Spanish adult hit station, Amor 102.9 KLQV, up from 1.8 to 2.2 with a cumulative audience of 138,700. San Diego's local K-Love station, 102.1 KLVJ from EMF, is down from 2.2 to 1.6 with a cumulative audience of 115,000. Then you have iHeartRadio hip-hop station Jammin' 95.7 KSSX, down from 1.4 to 1.3, cumulative audience of 188,800. Next is Lotus Communications 100.7 La Frontera KFBG, owned by Lotus. This is a classic regional Mexican station. They are up from 0.6 to 1.1. Looks like they're establishing their audience, as this is a brand new station. Cumulative audience of 104,700. And then San Diego's local Air 1 station, heard on KARJ 92.1, is down from 0.8 to 0.7. Cumulative audience of 50,400. That's another EMF property. Una Radio's regional Mexican station, La Emisora 99.7 XHTY, is also at a 0.7, up from 0.5. Cumulative audience of 69,700. Its sister Spanish contemporary station, Pulsar 107.3 XHFG, is down from 0.7 to 0.6, with a cumulative audience of 86,600. San Diego also has another Air 1 station, KYDO 96.1. They're up from 0.3 to 0.5. Cumulative audience of 32,500, and that's another EMF property. Una Radio's regional Mexican station, La Invasora 94.5, which is XHA-FM. They're up from 0.3 to 0.4. Cumulative audience of 36,600. Next is iHeartRadio's conservative talk station, 1360 The Patriot, KLSD, steady at a 0.3, cumulative audience of 16,800. That's followed by the online stream of Alt 94.9, steady at a 0.2, and a cumulative audience of 3,000. And then iHeartRadio sports station, San Diego Sports 760, KGB AM, also steady at a 0.2, cumulative audience of 36,300. Then you have Odyssey's Comedy Now, which is a 24/7 comedy, or 24/7 rather, comedy channel from KBZT HD3. They're steady at a 0.1. Cumulative audience of 3,800. Lotus Communications online stream of 100.7 La Frontera is registering rather at a 0.1, and they also have a cumulative audience of 3,800. Then you have Una Radio's Spanish tropical station La Poderosa 860, which is XEMO. They are steady at a 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 8,400. Not registering is EMF's Spanish religious station, Radio Nueva Vida, heard on KKLJ. They have a cumulative audience of 0. Classical San Diego, heard on KPBS HD2, with a cumulative audience of 5,200. And the online stream of KYXY 96.5, with a cumulative audience of 0, also did not register. And a quick note, KFBG flipped from a temporary simulcast of 91X to regional Mexican music back on May 1st. So August will be their 4th book as a regional Mexican station. Alright, that's it for this video as we looked at the July ratings for Tampa Bay, Denver, and San Diego. Coming up next, the Charlotte, Long Island, and Baltimore markets. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. And big shout out to both Anna Rodriguez and Bryce Garvey for jumping into the live stream today. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and happy listening. Peace out.